TV7 Israel News is made possible thanks to your generous donations. Shalom, good evening. This is TV7 Israel News broadcast to you from Jerusalem, and in today's top stories. Iranian proxy targets in Syria have been reportedly struck by unidentified aircraft in a fifth such bombardment attributed to the Israeli Air Force in less than a month. A fragile ceasefire in the northwestern Idlib governorate, which has been implemented following an agreement between Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan and his Russian counterpart Vladimir Putin on March 5th of last year, is evidently faced with increased challenges. EU Foreign Policy Chief Josep Borrell and Turkish Foreign Minister Mevlut Çavuşoğlu hold a meeting in Brussels to discuss an aspired improvement of relations. Syria's western Hama governorate had reportedly been subject to an aerial bombardment, which Damascus authorities were quick to attribute to the Israeli Air Force. Shortly before 4 a.m. early this morning, unidentified aircraft launched numerous sophisticated missiles from the direction of Lebanon's airspace in the area of the city of Tripoli toward 5 separate positions near Syria's Hama city, said to be manned by Iranian proxy militias, including operatives of the Lebanese Hezbollah organization. And while the Syrian army's aerial defense array was activated, local sources acknowledged that all of the targets were successfully destroyed. Separately, a tragedy occurred when a family of 4 were reportedly killed. According to the London-based Syrian Observatory for Human Rights, quote, shrapnel of missiles fired by regime air defenses in an attempt to intercept the alleged Israeli airstrikes hit the residential neighborhood of Kazoo in the northwestern part of Hama city, which killed a family of 4 persons, a woman, her husband, and 2 children, and seriously injured an old man, a woman, and 2 other children. It is important to highlight that while Damascus remains convinced of Israel's responsibility for the bombardment, in light of its sophistication and the nature of the targets struck, the IAF spokesperson's unit did not confirm nor deny its involvement in response to TV7's request for comment. It is also worth mentioning that this was the 5th aerial strike in Syria in the last month that was attributed to Israel. Separately, in the past 48 hours alone, Russian and Syrian aircraft conducted over 45 aerial strikes against positions said to belong to the Islamic State. Turning to northern Syria, where a fragile ceasefire in the northwestern Idlib governorate, which was implemented following an agreement between Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan and his Russian counterpart Vladimir Putin on March 5th of last year, is evidently faced with increased challenges. While the Turkish military maintains some 64 observation posts along a 30-kilometer or 19 miles buffer zone with approximately 10,000 troops and over 8,000 armored vehicles and tanks, Ankara's deterrence is evidently diminishing. In recent days, heavy clashes were reported between jihadist militants against regime forces, backed by Iranian proxy militias and Russian mercenaries, near the village of Al-Ruwayha, which overlooks the strategic M5 highway that connects between Damascus and Aleppo. Separately, in recent days, the Syrian army also conducted daily surface-to-surface bombardments on jihadist positions in the southern countryside of Idlib governorate, which is also situated within the Russian-Turkish de-escalation zone. Consequently, the Turkish military is reportedly in the process of deploying additional troops to the volatile area. Turning to Brussels, where EU Foreign Policy Chief Josep Borrell held a joint press conference with visiting Turkish Foreign Minister Mevlut Çavuşoğlu ahead of a first meeting between the 2 top diplomats this year, voicing hope that their discussions would trigger a positive chain of events that may yield an improvement of relations between Ankara and Brussels after a previous, highly contentious year.
2020 yılı Türkiye-AB ilişkileri bakımından sorunlu bir yıl oldu. Aralık zirvesi ve Aralık zirvesi sonuçları ya da ortak açıklamasından sonra daha pozitif bir atmosfer yaratmak için her iki taraftan da siyasi irade ortaya çıktı. Ayrıca ilişkilerin daha sağlıklı gelişmesi bakımından da karşılıklı olumlu açıklamalar oldu.
Recently, we have seen from both parts an improvement on the overall atmosphere and some important steps, and this meeting today is also an important step on the direction of looking for a mutual strategic interest, the development of a cooperative and reciprocal relationship anchored on common values and principles. Another good step is the announced resumption of direct exploratory talks between Turkey and Greece. Such efforts has to be maintained. Intentions and announcements need to be translated into actions.
Alongside mentioned exploratory talks between Greece and Turkey, scheduled to be held in Istanbul on January the 25th, the top EU diplomat also mentioned an anticipated resumption of UN-led negotiations between EU member states Cyprus and Turkey, with a decades-old dispute persisting after the latter attained control of approximately a third of the eastern Mediterranean island after two separate military invasions in July and subsequently in August of 1974.
Another important step is the efforts of the United Nations Secretary General Guterres for a resumption of the Cyprus settlement talks on the United Nations auspices. We are fully committed to support a speedy resumption of those negotiations.
Ankara has seemingly modified its foreign policy recently ahead of the transition of power in Washington, in light of remarks made by US President Joe Biden during his pre-election campaign, referring to Turkey as a provocateur of regional tensions. This has apparently led Turkey to seek a rapprochement with the European Union, hoping this move would diminish anticipated pressures from the United States.
Türkiye-AB ilişkilerinde pozitif bir atmosferin yaratılması elbette önemli. Ama bunun sürdürülebilir olabilmesi için somut adımlar atmamız gerekiyor. Ve bugün Sayın Josep Borrell'le daha önce başlattığımız süreçlerin takibini yapacağız. Göç mutabakatının güncellenmesi konusunda biz teklifimizi iletmiştik. Bunun detaylarını görüşeceğiz.
Seeking to improve relations with the European Union will undoubtedly come at a cost. With wide-ranging disagreements on many regional fronts, the European Union is not going to shy away from its long-standing demands of Turkey vis-à-vis its military engagements in Libya, Syria, and in the southern Caucasus.
We strongly wish to see a sustainable de-escalation in the eastern Mediterranean, but in the wider region also. And I am sure that we could engage more in a substantive dialogue to strengthen the importance of the political processes related to regional conflicts, be it on Libya, in Syria, or Nagorno-Karabakh.
Thank you for watching us. For more of TV7's productions and reports from Israel, including a variety of programs and editorials, I encourage you to visit our website at www.tv7israelnews.com. And as part of TV7 Israel's prayer initiative, I would like to encourage you today to join myself and the team here in Jerusalem to lift up South Africa once again in prayer for its salvation and peace, alongside prayers for our persecuted brethren around the world, in addition to our ongoing prayers, of course, for the peace of Jerusalem, the salvation of Israel, and for all those who are impacted by the corona contagion and its numerous ramifications worldwide. Separately, I would like to thank all of you who partner with TV7 Israel. Your dedicated monthly support, both by means of prayer and finance, is of vital importance for our ongoing operations. I'm Jonathan Hassan, wishing you an Erev Tov and Shabbat Shalom, and we will see you again on Monday at the same time.